When I was in my early 20s and I was, forget whose house I was sitting at, and outside on the front porch, and this guy pulled up with this like 20-foot travel trailer that he was pulling with a car or something, a truck or something. And he pulled up, and then he went in and outside of his trailer, and then he took off. And then I said to my friends, I said, does that guy live in that? Like, is he on vacation for the weekend, or does he actually live in that? And he's like, no, the guy lives in that, and he goes wherever he wants and stuff. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, wow, can you imagine that kind of freedom? Because, you know, we are told that we have to do things this way. We have to work 40 years. We have to, put so much in retirement. We have to. I got all of these plantains here. Can you see them? Right here. This whole bunch and this whole bunch this morning. And there they are, getting ready to go in the pan. And they're actually the sweetest. This is not like a banana. You have to cook them to eat them. But if this was a banana, it wouldn't be edible. But as a plantain, you can see how good they look once they get peeled. If you've never eaten these before, you think that's a rotten fruit, but it's not. They're actually really sweet, and after they're cooked, they're almost like a dessert. And I don't know what the carbohydrates are on them. They're probably really high carbohydrates. But if you want them to be more like a potato or more starchy, you can eat them when they're still green like this. So this is a good mix here, where there's some green ones, and then there's some of these yellow or browned out ones. So that's a really good mix. And of course you want to eat these first. And these are still edible. These are not rotten at all, as I just showed you. So I was recently reading an article about how I think like 50% of people earning like 6 figures a year are afraid to embrace the retire early lifestyle. So to me, this is it's a situation that really makes me think about other people and how they perceive their reality. And some people say, well, it's because they're so used to having high expenses and spending a lot of money that they're afraid to, cut that income off and maybe have, less of an income, not so much of a employment type of an income, but yet not have to put in all those hours at work. So to me, sitting in a situation that keeps us in fear is only going to produce the results that fear produces, and that is to be in a paralysis situation. And I hate to see people doing that. I was in a similar, not a fear situation. I was in a situation when I was younger and started my business career, where I totally dreaded having to continue my life. And that's why, to me, it I don't want to say that it's mind-boggling, but it just bothers me to think that there are people that have so much potential that are remaining stuck in that kind of situation based on fear. And my whole motivation was to break free, and therefore I was not willing to stay in fear and stay into something that made me unhappy. So when you start talking about these things, I think that one of the things that people fear or don't want to do is, I see this terminology called downsizing. I haven't experienced the fear of downsizing because I've always focused on my priorities in life and never really downsized. I've never really lived in debt and lived beyond my means. So that could be one aspect, is that people tend to live beyond their means, and therefore in order to remove themselves from that debt scenario, it could mean downsizing because you were originally living beyond your means. Now, it isn't something that I did. I was able to stay out of that, which caused me to creatively think outside the box and establish norms that caused me to have happiness. In other words, I had built a house on 3.5 acres. It had a 40-foot pool. That's what we had, and that's what we enjoyed, and it was debt-free. So, I didn't downsize from a 5,000 square foot house or 6,000 square foot house, or anything like that. Had I wanted to have one of those, I have a friend that had one of those. He did sell it recently, but he didn't go into debt either. How he did it, being a younger man, he built it himself. So there isn't only one way to do things. Of course, he was having all his children at that time, and he had the big house. We did other things like we enjoyed traveling in a 30-foot travel trailer throughout the United States way before it was very popular for non-retired folk to be doing that. Back then, most people that were doing that were just retired folk. But we were doing it in order to live the retire early lifestyle, because that's what we were interested in. And it wasn't about downsizing. It's not like we got out of the house and said, well, okay, we're going to downsize and live in the travel trailer. No, it was more like fulfilling a dream, you see, that I had of traveling in a travel trailer. And of course I had a family, so it was with the family and small children. And so when I first saw, when I was in my early 20s, and I forget whose house I was sitting at, and outside on the front porch, and this guy pulled up with this like 20-foot travel trailer that he was pulling with a car or something, a truck or something. And he pulled up, and then he went in and outside of his trailer, and then he took off. And then I said to my friends, I said, does that guy live in that? Like, is he on vacation for the weekend, or does he actually live in that? And he's like, no, the guy lives in that, and he goes wherever he wants and stuff. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, wow, can you imagine that kind of freedom? Because we are told that we have to do things this way. We have to work 40 years. We have to put so much in retirement. We have to wait for compound interest. We have to have this big house with a mortgage, and we have to have a mortgage so we can have way more house than we would be able to have, and all this prescribed way that people are told that they have to do things. And just seeing somebody having that much freedom, it was just a light bulb that went off, and I immediately made that one of my bucket list thing. I want to do that thing, and I'm very happy that we did that thing when we were younger, in our 30s. What I'm talking about here is living your dreams, and you don't have to live your bucket list consecutively all in a row right now. You can tackle one thing at a time, and it comes down to making the commitment to do what makes you happy. And I just hate seeing all these people that are so tied into a materialistic, I hate to use that term because there's a certain amount of materialistic that you need. And I don't want to make it sound like it's either that or downsizing, So I think that if someone is downsizing, but they still have mortgages and debt, and they still have to stay stuck in a 9-to-5 they don't really want to be stuck in, why would somebody want to downsize in that scenario? That wouldn't produce happiness to downsize. But if you want to call it downsizing, living within your means, but making the most of it, making the best of it, making the most of it, and finding a level that gives you happiness, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what we've been doing, for over 30 years, our entire life. And coming to Ecuador was part of that. Part of that was the travel bug and wanting to experience new cultures and new places. So, all right, if you'd like to know more about that, check out our Facebook group link, our free Facebook group link below the video. And I hope I can inspire you to live a happy life and be the person that you want to be. Thanks for watching. Just as beautiful as any other beautiful view. And so there's two pools here. One's outside and one's inside. Gorgeous.